mid-meeting or something. So, again, welcome this morning to the BCD TDC meeting, Thursday, August 8, 2024. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. We can do a roll call, please, for the council. Here.
Here. Councilman Muslim Bouchet. Present. Tony Lappy.
Here.
Jay Johnson.
Good morning.
Rob Wells.
Here.
Bill White-Chillis.
Morning.
Councilman Bill Snipey.
Here.
Councilman Larry Kiesel.
Here.
Councilman Nigel Bullock. Pam Cronin, Brian Kramer, and Mayor Dan Allers are excused. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here this morning. I know everybody's busy, got a busy schedule, so thanks for making the time to come down. We'll move on to the first action, which will be approval of the June 13, 2024 TDC meetings. We would like to make a motion or a discussion on the minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion approval. Is there a second? A second. Any discussion on these minutes? Any public comment on the minutes from June 13, 2024? Any public comment? Come back to council. Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you. This time we'll call for public to be heard. Any members of the public like to wish to be heard at this time? Chris, come on up.
Chair, as he's walking up, I was hugging on Fran, so I am. Councilwoman Holly Smith is present.
Okay.
Good morning, members and Chair. My name is Christopher Lopez. I'm the Regional Director for the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association. I'm a full-time paid staff member working with our volunteer board members in Lee, Collier, and Charlotte County. I know many faces in this room. I've worked with many of you in the past, and hope to in the future, but just wanted to bring some bigger exposure and finally get up and talk in front of this group. I think it's been since February or March since the last time, but wanted to assure everyone that business is well, and the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association Lee chapter is looking forward to a very dynamic fall with plenty of events and a lot of networking and educational opportunities for our members in the region and potential new members in the restaurant and lodging trade. We're going to kick off with an August 20th event, networking event, and potential member event at Chips downstairs at the Luminaire Hotel coming up, as well as our annual fundraising golf tournament, which benefits culinary programs in Lee County schools, September 20th at the Dune Country Club on Sanibel Island. So we look forward to that. Any kind of involvement or any interest in engaging on that, please come and find me and contact me. Again, Chris Lopez with the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Chris. And Chris forgot off his introduction there. He's also a very good golfer, too, so don't ever play him for money. So. Any other public to be heard? Okay, we'll move on to municipalities to be heard. Any municipalities here?
Good morning, everyone. Adriana Peterson with the City of Cape Coral Economic and Business Development Office. So our business industry roundtable, this is our lineup for the next few months. Next Friday, we'll be hosting the Lender and Financing Industry Roundtable for those who are interested in participating. Our construction activity, since last year, we had a reduction for single-family home permits issued of 9.6%. Our commercial permits issued have increased since last year, 36.1%, and valuation of commercial building permits is roughly $264 million over the last 12 months. Some upcoming events that we have. This is not a city event, but our local business, Menarcas and First Round Draft have gotten together. They're doing their second annual kayak tournament, so anyone who is interested can find those details online. And that will actually be on Labor Day, so September 2nd. Some upcoming city events now that we are approaching fall. We have our lineup starting with Bike Night on October 12th. And then we also have our 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony coming up at City Hall. following any other events, follow us online. Tourism Spotlight, we have our Cape Coral Kayak. They were founded in 2018. They offer daily guided and self-tours. They will do a free kayak delivery to your location, and they offer also boat rentals. Our Economic and Business Development Spotlight. So these are a few of the businesses that we've highlighted on our social media with the engagements below. And yesterday, the Community Redevelopment Agency announces a major land acquisition to revitalize South Cape. So CRA and City of Cape Coral approved resolution on August 7th, agenda to acquire approximately 19 acres, structures to be demolished and site made available for development, strategic move to revitalize and build on development occurring in the South Cape. And a quick Quest update. We've had 1,791 people sign up, 5,154 location check-ins, 331 prizes awarded, 139 coupons redeemed, 126 people who have entered to win the Westin 2-night stay, and 70 people who have checked in at all 30 check-ins and have earned a Sunsplash season pass. Can I answer any questions for anyone? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other city you'd like to be heard? No, I saw Mayor Anderson here. He is here observing. Mayor Anderson, thanks for joining us this morning. Anybody else here? Okay. We'll move on to special presentations. We'd like to see Chad Smith here from Fort Myers Beach for the Beach for Nourishment update.
Hey, morning everyone. Chad Schutz, Town of Fort Myers Beach. I just want to lead off by saying thank you. Thank you to the TDC, thank you to Lee County Commissioners, and thank you to all of the Lee County staff that got us the $4.9 million check very timely to make this project a success. Here's just going to talk about an update on the project. We issued the notice to proceed on July 8th, and Atna Marine Construction Company is the contractor. Coastal Engineering Consultants is the engineer of record. Y'all know Michael Poff well, been here before. Here we have the project area, so the north, central, and south segments with the pipeline corridors. The green area is that nearshore Burr area, about 1.5 miles off North Estero Island. We're not going to be using the Lee County offshore Burr area in federal waters. They will put that pipeline, or they have put that pipeline in at 500 Estero, made that connection and built the pipe up north toward. Started testing pipe integrity the day before Debbie hit. Everything was looking good, but things changed with the storm. So good news is that everybody's safe, all the equipment's intact. The dredge found safe harbor in Hurricane Pass. They anchored the pipe and filled it with sand to the bottom, and Atna actually had 2 guys maintaining that pipe out on the beach throughout the storm. So they're going to be building the north section starting at 100 Estero, just south of Bowditch, moving their way south. Once they get to 500, they'll flip the pipe around and continue to build south. That pipe will stay on the beach throughout the project. Here you can see some pre-storm photos, constructing 400-foot sections out in Hurricane Pass. There's the dredge. Again, it's going to wait till seas are a bit calmer to return to the Burr area. Once it's safe, they'll get out there and test the pipe integrity, and hope to begin constructing the beach any day now. Once that pipe integrity is confirmed, and our engineer is going to resurvey the beach to calculate how much sand was lost, what volume we need, and the reconstructing those berms that got overwashed by Debbie. Here you can see Bowditch, those nice beautiful berms that we built with the North Estero truck haul project for building the berms. That nest is still marked there, but it definitely suffered during the storm. Just some equipment, again, all pre-Debbie. That bulldozer's marking 500 Estero for the dredge to construct that pipe towards the beach connection. Just some work from our previous project. Again, we use the state's hurricane restoration reimbursement grant program to pay for that North Estero berm project. It was a truck haul project. Here you can see restoring lateral access under the pier. And again, the berms at Bowditch and at Lynn Hall and Crescent Park came out really well. We still have lateral access there, which is good, and the overwash sand that area will be prioritized just because it's so erosional over there. Working with Turtle Time, the FWC Marine Turtle Permit holder, relocating nest. It's been a tough year for them. But good news is that nests 54 and 55 of the 109 nests hatched since Hurricane Debbie. So Miss Eve remains hopeful. Those were relocated nests on the south segment, or just south of the south segment, that had hatched. So successful relocation from the project, and hatching after a tropical storm or hurricane is a good thing. We'll see if we're monitoring shorebirds daily, and we'll see if the shorebirds are game enough to go for another clutch. Great opportunity became available from the state just last month. They made $35 million available, and the town fully intends to take advantage of that. We've won and applied for the grant and confirmed eligibility, and as of this morning have already submitted our first invoice into the state program. So this $35 million is first come, first serve, and our intention is to try and submit as much as we can to reduce the overall local cost share to TDC and the town as much as we can. So we'll see how it goes. It's great news to reduce the cost and make those funds available to other beaches in the county. So again, thanks to all of y'all. Thanks to Lee County staff and the commissioners. I appreciate all the help.
Thanks. I had a couple of questions. Bill, you must run this side. We'll walk around Holly, I think.
Refer to Mr. Wells first.
Rob, go ahead. I didn't see who was first. Sorry.
I did. Maybe I missed it. When's the expected completion date on that?
So I was talking to our engineer about this morning. Initially, it was a new beach for the new year. It's a 6-month project. That's the 180 days. I think it's January 4th. We may be set back. We're probably about 60 days out to making it to the pier with construction. So another couple of months to make it to the pier. We should be making, that's some pretty heavy, it's a pretty heavy segment, a lot of beach to build, so they may only be moving 100 feet a day. So it may get pushed a little bit beyond that January date, but the good news is the busiest part of the beach, the north and the central segments, should be constructed, well before that time, and then it'll be on the south segment where things are a little bit less busy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great job on this project, Chad. I know it's a lot of hard work and many years of planning. The sand we've lost from Debbie, they're going to re-pump that sand? Is there an additional cost we're going to see, or?
We'll see what the volumes tell us and see how much we haven't surveyed to see how much we've lost, how significant that is. We will reconstruct the berms, but until we get those surveys from the engineer, we'll see what the volumes indicate, and we're hoping we have enough sand in the borough area to compensate for any sand loss that we need to put on the beach to get that engineered beach design filled.
you know, they're obviously right in front of Pink Shell right now, and watching them try to hold those pipes during the storm was pretty intense. But I thought was really cool is the section where they're taking the sand from, about the artifacts they found.
Oh, that's news to
You
me.
may want to tell them about that. I thought it was pretty cool.
That's news to me, so.
Oh, so go to your first slide, if you don't mind. Yeah, there. So in the green where they're taking from, there's actually a section there that they found Indian artifacts. So they have to stay away. There's a squared out section in there that they can't touch because they found arrowheads and different artifacts, which is amazing. Just, you know, just that was land at one time. So you didn't know that? Oh. They told me when we were, when on the site visit. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Very cool. Hopefully it doesn't impact the sand that we.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
All right.
We're laughing. We're laughing.
Any other questions or news, information?
Our project. Oh, did you have something?
No, I did not, sir.
Any other questions for Chad? Thank you, and at least we made it through last week, so thank you for everything.
Good job.
Thank you. Next, we San Juan Captiva Chamber of Commerce, John Lice here for presentation. Okay, John, no questions from Bill, okay?
Yeah, really.
Man, sorry. Okay, so good morning, Chair Prendergast, council, staff. Thanks for allowing me a few minutes up here today just to give you an update on where we are, moving a little further north from Fort Myers Beach to San Juan Captiva Island. We have not found any artifacts recently, but we have had some really great progress, and wanted to take a few minutes and just share with you some of the great things that we're doing and some of the highlights that we've been doing. Tony, I know you like this picture a lot. I may have selected this intentionally. But one of the great things about the funding that we received from this board was that we were able to go out and get all new assets to update our library. We all know that post-Ian, everything that we had digitally looked completely different. But what was nice was that a year and a half after, we could get some greenery, we could get the flora and the fauna coming back, and we got some really great stuff to go out and really launch some campaigns to help our businesses on the island in summer and fall. So I won't spend too much time on this. I know that you have already gotten an update every single month. By our calculations, and we work very closely with the fire department, the fire chief, as they go through and they inspect buildings for readiness. Then we contact the businesses and find out exactly how many units are coming back online for nightly rentals. As of last week, Blind Pass Condos put us over the 35% mark for available rooms as compared to pre-Ian. So we are well ahead of where we thought we would be this time last year when we forecasted out. We have, as a lot of you know, we've collaborated with FGCU and Charitable Foundations of the Islands to produce a San Juan Captiva outlook that looks forward quarterly. Every quarter we look forward 12 months, and right now we're like I said, just over 35% on Sanibel and Captiva according to these numbers, and these are just nightly rentals, so they may differ slightly from what the VCB has, and it doesn't matter if they report to STAR or not. So I don't know if that factors in. And then we also have 76% of our non-accommodation businesses on both islands open in some form or fashion, whether that be online, off-island with intent to return, or fully open on island. As you can tell, that ratio is off. What we've done is we've gone out with full-page ads in Florida Weekly and some other publications to really highlight the open businesses on the island. We get probably 25 calls a day. Our visitor center is, thanks to you all, open 7 days a week right now. We've gone from, in the first 120 people per day to averaging right around 45 right now. Obviously, this month is going to be skewed by last week, but our biggest question is what's open on island, and so we've tried to address that with our full-page ads that have gone out not only in Lee County but Charlotte, Collier, Palm Beach, and the Keys as well. And so we're very excited about that. We've had a distribution of just over 280,000 copies of that. And then last year, in conjunction with Save of the Shore, we ran Save Our Sandcap, and it almost felt like we ran them in a competitive manner, and we wanted this year to really do a complementary campaign. And so we know that Save of the Shore focuses very heavily on culinary. We have gone out and produced some video and some print ads that complement that. So we're focusing right now on our lodging, our recreation, and our shopping. And our Summer of Fun campaign is running to geo-targeted drive market locations on social channels, paid search, and streaming services like Hulu. All of these point back to our open businesses page on our site with clickable links to all open businesses. Our social channels alone has seen over 64,000 clicks since June. And this one highlights our recreation aspect and the things that are open from that perspective. Our Wonder Map continues to perform exceptionally well for us and has seen over 762 unique downloads in just 15 months of usage. Our deal with Wonder Map expires at the end of this year, and we have been able, thanks to the funding that we've received, to renew that for an additional 2 years. And this is really the place that we point people who are calling from out of town, who want to know what's open on island, and so when we can walk them through downloading this map, whether it be on their iPad, on their iPhone, or on their desktop, they can zoom in and see where their favorite restaurants are on this map, whether or not they're open, and they can go right to that link and see what hours of operation they have, their menus, items, and go right to their website. And then something we're all excited about. On November 5th, we'll begin our celebration of Sanibel's 50th anniversary, kicking off with a time capsule opening and reveal at 4 p.m. Okay, and then just take my word for it, but if you go to 50yearsofsanibel.com, you'll come to our calendar, and you'll be able to see all of the events that we'll have relative to the 50th anniversary, going from November 5th of this year all the way through November 5th of next year. Our luminary is set to kick off on Friday, December 6th on Sanibel and December 7th on Captiva. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you. Bill?
Sir?
Thank you, John. On a previous slide that you had up when you were talking about the 35% that are up and available, I didn't notice, have you asked for ETAs on the other 65% on when they expect those to come back online over the next 12 to 24 months?
So if you look at estimated openings, there's a lot of TBDs there. What we're finding with the survey that we sent out is that the top three issues continue to be insurance, construction, and condo association related. Filling that in. So fall 2024. Hilton Grand Vacation open 5/24, estimated 2026. So we're filling those in the best that we can with that. Our city is also doing a great job of developing a dashboard that shows us what open applications and permits are out there, when they close, and then what new ones open up. So that can also give us a forecasting tool as well. But right now we're relying on this high-tech and phone calls to each individual unit owner to say, hey, when do you think you're going to have this back up and running? And then we're filling it in the best that we can. That combined with FGCU's survey, economic outlook survey, give us our forecasting method. So there's not a real science to it, but it's best guesstimation for right now.
And just to add a little bit to that, those dates move a lot, right? I mean, we're seeing that, we're tracking it as well, trying to make sure we time our messaging up with the bulk of those reopenings. So,
and to Tam's point, a lot of these dates were different 6 months ago. So, as time goes on, we're doing our best to pinpoint what's realistic and where we think this will all land. An example, we thought we had a full service property opening last week, and they have no rooms now coming online until November. So,
Gotcha. Holly?
Yeah, just, John, I don't know if you wanted to touch on the leadership class that's just taken
Sure.
place and what that summary is, because it's a phenomenal program that you're coordinating.
Yeah, we have just launched a leadership class in collaboration with SECF captains and the Everglades Foundation to really talk about bringing the business community into the really just educating them on stewarding our natural resources and top of mind being water quality. And we've got a group of 23 C-suiters from our county that a couple of them are in this room that are fully immersed in not only learning how the system works, but the projects that are upcoming that will make it work even better. And so we're very excited about that. We've got 7 weeks of this where we will take field trips out to the EAA, the C43 reservoir. We'll take them out into the estuaries and up and down the Caloosahatchee and just kind of show them exactly how runoff and discharges impact our local waters.
Great, thank you.
Any others?
Anything else? Well, thank you, John.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the update. Next will be Tamara Pygott.
All right. I want to begin my report to you by sharing a couple of new staff members that have joined us at the VCB. Emily Bodner has joined us as a sales coordinator, as has Natalie Duran. And on our fiscal team, we have Audrey Gaff, who is our fiscal officer. So you have a little bit of information about each of them at your place. Emily came to us from the Drury, Natalie from the Fairfield Inn in Cape Coral, and Audrey from another county department. And we are thrilled to have these three ladies on our team. We're getting close to fully staffed. I know somebody's going to ask that question, but we're getting close. We got a few more things going on, but welcome. All right. Slide into the bed tax report now. Of course, we didn't have a meeting last month, so I'm presenting May and June data to you. You'll see in May, just under 2.8 million. In June, 2.9 million. And for the fiscal year to date, that's 37 million. The good news is, sorry, I'm probably a little slower than Amanda is on the trigger over there, but last year we collected 36 million for the whole year, so now we have exceeded those collections from that painful first year post Hurricane Ian. As you see, we're up about 23% fiscal year to date. And in terms of looking at this, how does that compare to the past? You can see where we rank in comparison by month. Those are the monthly collections, and then the fiscal year to date. So same with the month of June. So a little bit ahead of 2019. All right. In terms of STAR, for the month of May, occupancy came in at 61.4%. down 11%, ADR just under $149, up 3.5% for RevPAR of 9132, down almost 8%. And in June, a little more difficult month, occupancy 58.5, down 12.9%. ADR still hanging in there, 137.70, up 2.6%. RevPAR down 10.6 at 80.54. And you see where we are for the calendar year to date. Overall occupancy down. ADR just down a smidge over the previous calendar year, and of course RevPAR down. Shifting on to how that looks in comparison to past years for the month of May, and then similarly June. Definitely a challenging period for our area.
And what do you attribute the decline, that's causing that decline? I mean, we're running higher than the others, but
I think a combination of things. One, we're missing those contractors we had in our inland properties last year, and I think most of the inland property folks will tell you they're definitely missing some of that additional business that came in last summer. Of course, we don't have as much compression from the coastal area, impacting them as we would like during the summer months. And then, when I look at the STAR reports around the state, we're not the only one that's down. Other areas are down as well. I think, I can see everybody I know is going to Europe the last couple of summers, and that's, they were in Florida the previous 2 summers. I do think that's impacting us as well, the rest of the country opening. The Caribbean is doing very, very well if you look at their numbers. And, that's those are some of our competitors, right, at the end of the day. But, I still think that, some of our coastal properties are open, but not completely reopen. There's still a lot of construction and things going on. And I think some people are making the decision, well, if I'm going to spend my vacation in Florida, I don't want to have that construction going on right next to me. I'd rather go maybe to Naples or to Sarasota. And even they are still struggling a little bit. I think the economy is a little shaky, consumer confidence. But we're working our way through it, trying to get our message out there where we're at. Yes, Holly?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that as inland property owner. I mean, significantly down. It's not just light. And I think we also really rode a time of increases. We've all been through this before. And then we had maybe artificially high daily rates. So some of these properties that are in the economy and mid-tier are probably going to see a drop back down. Because one, we're going to have more competition coming on the market if these all are under construction. But I think it's really, as Tam said, we've got the economy, we've got the election. There's so many factors, visitor experience. I mean, people are still looking at where we are from Ian. And I hate to continue to say that, but I think it's a real factor. And then we were all full for so long with post-Ian bumps. And I think there's going to be a correction. A lot of this relates to only STAR properties. Many are not subscribing to STAR, but I know overall the inland properties across the segment, I don't know of too many that are actually above where they thought they'd be. It's a tough time right now, and it's usually this time of year. We've got the hurricane season. I think people are very cognizant of that. So you've got the full hurricane season. People are saying, maybe this isn't quite the year, and here we just got hit by a tropical storm. So that's my input as a dual property owner in the inland segment.
I also think that, when I look at the numbers that Joseph will be presenting, I feel like we're missing a little of our in-state business. They're very keenly aware of our situation. They have the ability to keep good eye on what's going on over here, and they're following all the Facebook posts and everything that's happening. We've also had a bunch of rainy weekends, not good for business, as we know. Makes it easy for them to say, looks like it's going to rain this weekend. We'll hold off another week. And I also think, we had a really big property open to our north, and I think a lot of staycationing people have been wanting to experience the Sunseeker Resort, check that out and see what that's like. So I think some of our people who normally get a weekend down at Fort Myers Beach or on Sanibel, or a week, whatever they do during the summer, might be trying a new property. That property is thriving. I know we've all been reading the news, and there's some articles in your packet about it. But I do think that there's a lot of competition, and people have lots and lots and lots of choices and lots of things that are weighing on them. We will continue. This year we had a full summer marketing campaign. We didn't hold back at all. But where does that fit in somebody's decision-making process, I think is a little bit of a challenge.
What about seat availability and airline seat cost? That's got to be affecting it.
For sure. I mean, any reduction in the number of seats means that's someone we can't bring in. And I think, loads are still very good at the airlines are winning this. They have very full planes if you've been anywhere. And of course, let's not even talk about the crowd strike issue and how many people got caught up in that, myself included. Delays. And I do think that is affecting people's choices. I'm seeing a lot more posts about drive vacations over fly vacations. I'd like to think that would benefit us with our in-state market. So our conversation internally is we got to turn up the notch on the in-state market, try to get some additional PR coverage, some earned media over placed media there, and see if we can't move the needle. We've got a satellite media tour that we're going to do this month, and we're going to use that as a real opportunity to show, where we're back and how far we've come. I mean, I will say the work that has been done at Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel, the industry partners have been busting their butt in ways that just are amazing. I can't thank the people enough for how hard they're working to get their properties reopened. But as we know, we still have a ways to go.
Rob had a question down there, then Lynn after Rob. Rob?
If you look at the tourist tax, 24 versus 23, and the large increases, and then you compare that.
Well,
There's a large variance there.
yes, there is.
And I just wanted to see if you could discuss that for a minute.
Sure. So if you look in your packet I'm sorry, I don't have page numbers, but if you look at the May or June STAR report, either of them, you will see we had a 14.9%, it's not going to show up there, it's in the detailed report, a 14.9% increase in rooms available. So that means we injected almost 15% more rooms than we had this time last year. So while occupancy is down, the number of rooms is up, so you're selling more rooms. Revenue in general is up because you had more rooms to sell, but occupancy is falling. So occupancy did not fall as much as the increase in the number of rooms, so therefore we're selling more rooms. And of course you see the ADR is up, so of course that would affect the bed tax collection as well. Does that? Yeah. Sure. Okay.
So here, we have Lynn.
Oh, sorry.
And then Bill. No, you're first, go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the unbridled growth in Airbnbs, not only does it take away from our hotel nights, it affects our restaurants and the whole industry. Do you have a strategy for approaching this?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I haven't gotten to the key data, which I was about to go to next. And you're going to see that vacation rental occupancy is up, ADR is up. And this is, again, product coming back into the marketplace. This is true along the coast. Got vacation homes reopening on Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach, in Cape Coral, throughout the community. And I think some of this is people are shifting to that choice over the other choice. But I, when you say a strategy to combat that, Is that what you're asking? I mean, I think it's a consumer choice.
Not combat, but
Manage it, yeah. I mean, we look at vacation, if you look at our historical bed tax collection, and sorry, I don't have this in front of me, but a large portion comes from vacation rentals, always has. I mean, this has been a big vacation rental destination. When you look, even Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel Island, not a lot of flagged hotel, almost no flagged hotels, and a lot of condos in homes where people rent. We've always been a big vacation rental market, but I would say historically it's in the 40% of bed tax collection range has been from vacation rentals. The growth of the number of homes in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, some of those homes have become vacation rentals over the years. Big vacation rental population in Cape Coral. People are liking that choice. The market it's interesting because in some communities that's a whole new market for them. For us, not so much. We've always had a lot of vacation rentals. But absolutely, speaking to that group of people and trying to service their needs is absolutely a communication effort on our part.
Before I pass on, I recognize our mayor's here today.
Welcome, Mayor. Oh, he's gone. He was here.
And he was recognized.
I think the commissioner recognized.
Listen, I was just going to make one comment to listen, and I think when you're talking about vacation rentals, we watch those very carefully. And at the state level, I think it's incumbent upon every municipality to make sure that the vacation rentals are in compliance. I think that's a big part of the issue. So that is each of our municipalities' requirement for whatever you're following. We have a third party that watches that for us, so we want to make sure they're registered. We want to make sure that you're getting the bed tax money that you're supposed to, because I can tell you we are falling very short on revenue that should be coming in from those non-compliant. So it's all of our jobs to do that.
That's a compliment. I spoke to your attorney, and they have some software that tracks this. So you probably need to line up behind you and find out what you're doing.
Happy to help.
And I think you would, if you talk to the other municipalities, they are on this effort as well. And there's a big legislative push around vacation rentals as well. Bill was passed but not signed by the governor during this last legislative session. So it's something we keep track of as well. Yes, absolutely.
Bill?
When you look at it, though, it's a different
It's a different client.
I mean, it's the guest that wants to make their own pina colada versus the guest that wants their pina colada brought to them. So, from a hotelier standpoint, I don't see it as competition. From a resident and experience living next to that, that's where I think more of the issue is, and then making sure tax collection is. But from a competition standpoint, it's just different guests.
Very different guests.
Bill?
Thank you. Yeah, everybody beat me to the punch, actually. I wanted to talk about the fact that as we look at the compliance of the collection of the bed tax and using the technology that's available today, it should assist in this quite a bit, because I believe there's a certain percentage there that's missing because of that. And I know the city clerk's or the county clerk's office will work together with you in an effort to use their data as well. So if you talk to Kevin Carnes, his office is working closely with our city to implement the technologies to use their data and the data that we collect to make sure that we find those people that are using their properties as vacation rentals, make sure they're registered, and make sure that the collection of the bed tax is there and it's making its way to the coffers. And the only thing on top of that I was just going to mention was that in previous meetings, I believe that we've kind of established that we would use 19 as a benchmark, and that, to Holly's point, that we enjoyed quite a run up, during post COVID and during COVID and then post Ian. So for us to look at 19 versus where we are today, I kind of see it as a blessing to where we are today with what we went through and getting these places open where people are so used to frequenting to get them back. Having the Tam, like you said, having the kind of these wet months that we've had, it's been a blessing for our aquifers and for bringing the moisture to our area that we've needed. But then certainly the flip side of that is that it does cause people to think twice about coming here during this season. So, I think there's a glimmer of light and a glimmer of hope in the numbers, not just the downside.
I will say, during the summers post, after the 2020, we got very spoiled. We got used to busy summers that look like the summers you see in the Panhandle or, other places where they're cold in the winter, too cold to enjoy the beach, and having, really busy summer tourism. We got spoiled. We tend to think that things are going to continue the way they are, not understanding that some things are cyclical. It will be our challenge. Summer has always been the challenge in this destination. Summer used to be like the businesses on Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach, many of them closed. People took their business up north. We have a lot of business people who used to have a business up north that they ran during the summer and closed their business on the island. So, it feels, I know it's painful, and I'm not even pretending that it's not painful. We're all doing everything we can, but it is a more return to a normal pattern that we have seen in past years. With that, I'm going to shift over to the key data. You'll see that occupancy for the vacation rentals for May was up 26%, ADR up 28%, and then for June, up 26%, and then calendar year to date, your vacation rentals are up 36% with a 15% increase in ADR and a 56% increase in RevPAR. And again, I do think, all those things go hand in hand. All right, next, let's look at the hotel room count. So this is by area, and we've been presenting this to you every month. There have been some changes, but we're really holding right at that 78% number. A little bit, again, a little bit of variation, but right at that number. Not a lot of change this month. In terms of activity at the airport, back to good loads and really strong activity at the airport. Up 10.9% in May and 8.3% in June, for a fiscal year-to-date increase of nearly 20% at the airport. Really good news there. And now I am going to give you an update on our strategic plan. So, we had 3 big overarching goals with our strategic plan, and those are optimization of the visitor economy impacts, thought leadership in placemaking, and destination adaptability. First, we're going to start with optimizing the impact. So one of the goals in the plan was to maintain a dynamic and effective marketing program designed to grow shoulder and off-season visitation for targeted audiences. I will remind you that we developed this plan pre-Hurricane Ian, but the good news is, I really think the plan has a lot of adaptability in it, and I think the goals we set really do apply. The shoulder and off-season tourism has, been a little bit of a challenge, but we knew that going into it. We knew that we were going to go back to more normal numbers post-Ian. So one of the ways we're doing that is keeping our marketing on, always on, and segmenting our market segments, and so with key targeted audiences. And I'm going to go through these quickly, but you have all the detail in your packet. The social sophisticates, the family fun seekers, the savvy explorers, timeless travelers, and the affluent travelers were added this year. This is a new one for us. We wanted to add this audience to ensure that we're targeting the high-end clientele, because we know we're going to have new product coming back into the marketplace, remodeled product coming into the marketplace, and we wanted to make sure we were targeting people at the high end, knowing that, the price of those accommodations are going to be higher. We also have allocated our resources primarily to the leisure consumer traveler at 82.5%. We just under 10% for international and just over 8% for the group. In terms of our media marketing, back one slide, sorry. Consumer mix for us is, heavily digital and broadcast in this current calendar year, and much less on print. And of course, there's some print in those integrated packages, so know that is there, and then some out of home, and of course our airline partnerships as well. Since Hurricane Ian, we've been focused on the My Fort Myers campaign, which taps into the emotional attachment and fondness people have for that area. We've talked a lot about repeat guests and targeting repeat guests. We know loyalists are going to serve us well during this challenging time. And as you'll see, that campaign really speaks to personal testimonials from visitors and locals, talking about the memories they've made here. We rolled out Fort Myers 2.0, and that will serve us through the end of 2024, continuing to focus on that optimism and memories. But I can tell you that we are working on a new brand campaign that we will give you a sneak peek of at the November 6th annual meeting at Calusa Sound, so be sure to put that on your calendar. Team's hard at work at it, and we'll be sharing that with you. In terms of optimizing impact, of course, on the sales side, we're committed to strengthening our outreach to grow travel trade, group planner, and our media relationships. So the sales team has contributed to this through targeted sales activities. And that includes trade shows and client events, and you will see that we have exceeded last year already on our trade shows and sales missions, and we are on track certainly with our destination education and client events. This fiscal year matches up pretty closely to last. Another marketing effort to optimize the impact of the visitor economy is by establishing visiting friends and relatives as a primary target market. And the team is currently working on some creative. We'll be generating some content on our social channels around this. You can see these are definitely draft images. That probably should have had a draft stamp all over it, but we're still working on it. But this will roll out this fall and continue into FY25, focusing on that VFR. In terms of our activities at the airport, that's certainly a primary area where we are interacting and greeting visiting friends and relatives as they arrive at RSW. We have also added visitor information tables at some sporting events and festivals. And a good example of that is the Ag Expo, where our volunteers had the opportunity to interact more with local residents. And as we update on what's going on out there, as we all know, the airport is expanding, and we are going to be increasing our volunteer numbers from 130 currently to 150 over the next 2 years. So the team is working on identifying and training new volunteers so that when the airport is fully finished, we're raring to go on that. Next, we'll talk about working with non-traditional destination partners to generate additional tourism. And the best example of this is some lunch and learns that our team has partnered with EDO to do. And so you see here a list of the businesses that we have met with in these lunch and learns. And during that time, they're educating the businesses on the activities of EDO and the VCB, talking about the ways the VCB supports the community, and of course, most importantly, encouraging them to bring their meeting home. We want to get as much activity from our local businesses as we possibly can. So as they're hosting meetings, really encouraging them to do that. And next up, the two are going to partner together to start working a little more closely with FGCU on these efforts. And then the final activity under optimizing the impact is we've developed and are distributing tools that encourage people to explore more of the area. And we got 3 great examples of that with our Sun Saver Passport, the Calusa Blue Way Challenge, that's new for this year, celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Calusa Blue Way, and of course, as you heard from Adriana, our partnership with Cape Coral on the Cape Coral Quest. So these are designed to get people to explore more of the area and spend more dollars while they are in our community. All right, now we're going to shift over to our placemaking contributions. And first up, of course, is the efforts we have done to highlight different areas of the community via the webcams. You guys know all about this, so I'm not gonna belabor it, but it gives us a chance to show different areas of the community, let people explore the area a little bit, see some points of interest before they start planning their trip. And then, of course, our mural program. You see a few examples there, and the newest one, which you saw in John's highlight video. We are also encouraging visitors to share pictures so that promotes these as well. Additionally, we've committed to championing the value of tourism and showcasing the quality of life that comes as a direct result of tourism here within our local community. And a great example of that is our Sand Dollar Cents video that we released at last year's annual meeting. It explains in a very relatable way why tourism is important here, and I'm just going to share with you 30-second cut down of the video that we.
Tourism brings a ton of money to our islands, beaches, and neighborhoods. And these destination dollars raise the tide for everyone's quality of life. Tourism directly fuels our local economy, our hotels, resorts, restaurants, bars, and boutiques. Businesses buy more stuff, hire more staff, and expand to new locations. With tourism comes new facilities and shared amenities residents can enjoy year-round. Tourism makes all this possible.
This year, we had a big effort around National Travel and Tourism Week where we lit buildings blue, so again, some placemaking to highlight tourism, and also highlighted the efforts of our tourism industry by presenting Challenger coins across the community. See the images here. I'm really, really, really proud to report that our efforts this year garnered over 430 million earned media impressions and 13,000 social media impressions. So really good result from our NTTW efforts this year. Now we're going to shift over to destination adaptability, and this is really more internal effort. This is proactively building and acquiring new skills for us and making sure that the VCB structure and our resources allow our team to carry out the goals. So first up, we're doing a little bit of tweaking of our structure. When we hired Natalie and Emily, we talked about taking those sales positions and cross-training them so we don't have a domestic salesperson and a global salesperson. We're working them both ways so they have all the skills. We think this is going to really result in some more efficient use of our staff, and there's some more to come in terms of tweaking the VCB structure. We also One of our commitments was that we were going to expand the research program, which included adding a dedicated research position within the organization. And as a result of that, we rolled out our dashboard. And this dashboard has a number of highlights and tourism details. I know you guys have seen it before. Lots of key metrics. And the intent is not only that we have this information, but that we can more easily share it with the tourism industry and our destination partners, but also the community at large, so they can see some of these benefits that come from tourism, quality of life benefits. As part of the destination adaptability, we committed to reaccreditation for the Visitor and Convention Bureau, and I am proud to report that we received our reaccreditation last month, and you have a little press release at your spot there that highlights the reaccreditation. This is through our professional association, Destinations International, they call this certification DMAP certification. It's over 100 different criteria that we have to meet to be on track, transparent, all the things that we want from a sound organization, and means a lot to us to receive that, to be recertified. We are also making sure that we are keeping our staff trained and giving them opportunities to grow so that we can retain and attract really quality staff. So next slide will show you a number of examples of educational conferences and certifications that our staff has sought. We want you to have the highest skilled people running the marketing and sales and visitor services efforts we can possibly have here in this community. We want to be a top-notch organization, and we want our staff to have those accreditations and certifications to do so. One of the areas in terms of destination adaptability is making sure that we are speaking to the local community and making them better understand the value of tourism. So much of our communication is outward. People seldom see what we do or seldom hear about what tourism means. I think the only thing that most people know about tourism is, there's more traffic in high season and it's harder to get into a restaurant. But at the end of the day, it's the onus is on us to communicate that better. And I think a great example of us doing that was our efforts around Savor the Shore. If you'll remember last year, which was the first year of Savor, we had a number of local media appearances. Super proud of the team. They really got out there and worked the Savor the Shore messaging and really effectively communicated that our local businesses need your support this summer because we're missing our visitors. That program was tweaked a little bit this year, but continued. Another example of the communications team's efforts are around what we call partner spotlights, and these started as a way to show how our local business community found creative ways to recover and thrive post-Ian, sort of to show our resiliency. But we've shifted those now to raising awareness of local tourism businesses within the community. We share those in our social media efforts, VCB social media efforts. Next, community engagement. I promise we're almost done. I know this is a long presentation, but strategic plans are deep, and we are giving you a thorough update today. We have committed as a staff to really upping our community engagement efforts, and this includes being out at events happening within the community, local speaking engagements, and you'll see last year we did 58 of those, and we've already done 89 this year. We've made it part of our internal goals to make sure that we're really engaging in the community, and I hope you're seeing us out there because that is our goal. One of course, the ways we really highlight the value tourism brings to the community is through our E-Awards. This program is just so important. Not only does it recognize the hard work of the employees in the industry, but it also shows the community that people are really going above and beyond in their efforts here. And as a friendly reminder, you have an invite at your spot. I know everybody's received an electronic invitation, but the event is Friday, August 23rd, so just a little over 2 weeks away at the Calusa Sound Convention Center, so don't forget that. All right, so I've shared with you what we've completed. Now, up next are a few activities related to the strategic plan. I mentioned the new brand campaign. That'll be part of optimizing our impact of tourism. We are also, as you know, John mentioned this too, we have been in a constant to rebuild our image library and videos post Ian. That continues. One of the things we committed to in the strategic plan was making sure that we have images that benefit not just tourism, but also economic development and sports. We were really hoping we could use an ARPA grant for that kind of evaporated under our fingertips, but we are still committed to making that happen. In terms of placemaking, we are looking forward to kicking off at some point soon some stakeholder input sessions to identify placemaking opportunities throughout the county, not just areas that the county is responsible for, but partnering with the municipalities and other organizations within the community to see about ways that we can identify some placemaking opportunities. And then last but not least, as I mentioned, we are still working on tweaking the VCB's organizational structure, and we want to make sure that we have a structure that will serve the organization and ensure success as we have succession planning and those sort of things in place. We want to make sure we're in good shape. So that is my quick but long update on the strategic plan. I think we're honestly in really good shape with it and really committed. Feel like that plan is serving us well, even despite all the challenges we faced. Now, I have one more thing for you, and then my report will be over. We want to share with you our little promo video for Island Hopper. As you know, Island Hopper is coming up at the end of September, and since we're letting you off the hook for a September meeting because we're going to have you join us at Governor's Conference, this is my chance to share this video with you. So.
It's 10 days of just pure original music, and to see our local, regional, and national artists, songwriters coming together in our community of Southwest Florida is just, it's tremendous.
It's like the most soul-filling show I get to do all year, because very few people know what it means to be a full-time songwriter. Like, just getting to hang out with people that do what I do, that love songs. It's such a unique experience, and it truly is the highlight of all of our years, is coming down here and getting to share our songs with you guys.
It's been fun to just kind of connect with other writers, get to perform songs that I've never sang live before, meet new people, and just kind of get to show my music off. So it's been great.
I mean, I think Island Hopper just brings the community together. It's nice to see people get out and around and enjoy the music that they're putting on each year.
So far, it feels really family-oriented, so that's the part I mostly love about it, because everybody's so welcoming and kind and responsive to your music as well.
It has been a phenomenal experience to hear them and their storytelling, which is second to none right here on Fort Myers Beach.
It is beautiful. It is a perfect day to be outside playing music.
Next year is going to be the 10-year anniversary, and I'm probably not going to miss it. There's no way, unless even rain or shine, I'm going to be there, and I don't think anyone wants to miss it either. So make sure you bring your butts back.
All right.
Well, thank you, Tamara.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jeff Milkey. Oh, we did?
No, that's it. Report of the quarterly research. Oh, of
I'm
course,
sorry, yeah,
Joseph.
sorry.
Wow, I'm so sorry. Wow, Joseph, I completely forgot about you.
that was like-
Embarrassingly,
yeah.
I wasn't done,
Yeah, okay.
sadly. Joseph is part of my.
This is not the first time the research has been forgotten, Tamara.
No, but it's so important.
I-
You heard me even talking
Yes.
about it earlier,
He's like, I
so,
came all this way for what? This?
yeah.
Well, I had a nice, I got to go to RSW. I had a nice dinner last night. So it's already been a win coming down here to Fort Myers. So, but anyways, I will give kind of a whistle stop tour through April through June. I will say some of the conversation, I'll kind of get into, I try to do some trends. You've had a good discussion on some of those trends that we've seen as like, why are numbers down? It's multifactorial, so I'll get into that a little bit, but I won't spend as much time as usual. Overall, I'm going to start with the numbers, and then we're going to talk about some of the visitor profile as we go. A lot of these numbers, like I said, as we look at April to June 2024 versus April to June 2023, visitation, visitor days, room nights, direct spending, total economic impact is up. Direct spend is up 31% compared to April to June 2023. Overall, most of these increases are amongst those staying with friends and relatives or staying in paid accommodations. And I will say much of the spend increase is in three categories: accommodations, restaurants, and groceries. And we'll touch on groceries as we kind of had that conversation about vacation rentals on the whole. One of the things that I will say, and as we look kind of forward, and this is something that I read this morning, folks from Hilton, folks from Disney are expecting a softening, a continued softening moving forward. I'm not saying they're smarter than everyone, but they have enough money to hire really smart people. So, and it's for all the reasons that you mentioned. I mean, as I was going through, I'm like, all right, I don't have to mention that, I don't have to mention that, but there's a lot of different reasons this is happening. So again, like as we move forward for the rest of the year, I would still expect your numbers to be up because you're recovering. At the same time, we're kind of expecting to see moving forward, again, for the continued reasons that you mentioned. I did want to kind of point out as we look at this, numbers are up compared to 2023. If you compared it to 2022, there's still some recovery to do. Granted, as we've mentioned, 2022 is a difficult comp because that was kind of the highest of the highs given how the tourism economy was. And then as we start to look at comparisons to 2019, it becomes an interesting thing because the numbers aren't bad compared to 2019. But the inflation since 2019 has been remarkable. So that makes that comp a little bit tougher. So these are things that we'll continue to point out. The good news is after we kind of get through 2024, you'll start to have this 2023 is your new normal and then the recovery from there. So hopefully we'll just get to see that continued growth. As we look at fiscal year to date, numbers for April through June are similar to the fiscal year to date in terms of what they're up. The one thing that I'll always point out, direct spending, for example, was up 28% fiscal year to date. TDT was up 23% fiscal year to date. If you are ever looking for a back of the napkin, what's the best number to look at for how's the entire tourism economy look, that's your best one. It's the only thing that's correlated fairly strongly because not only, while that's only looking at hotel and vacation rental and accommodation spend, it does, what people are willing to spend on that generally does correlate very well what they're willing to spend on a restaurant and groceries and shopping, things of that nature. So that's always an important figure to look at. Tamara, and you had a great discussion on the numbers overall, occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR are up. Do that, as you saw earlier, that doesn't tell the whole story. Hotels are down for the reasons that you've mentioned. Vacation rentals are up significantly. Part of it is just kind of those were a little bit slower to recovery, but it's also with that increase in those staying in vacation rentals, that's why we're seeing an increase in grocery spend, I believe, because folks in vacation rentals are a little bit more likely to spend money in groceries than those in a hotel. So again, these were the context of some of these figures are very important. I'll do a little bit on the visitor journey overall. The trip planning cycle, I don't know how long it'll ever get back to the pre-pandemic trip planning cycle. It's kind of everything, everywhere we look has been a little bit shorter compared to when they're planning and booking. So you have almost 40% of all your visitors are planning their trips only a month or two in advance, which makes it, I imagine, for revenue managers, things of that nature, it makes it a tougher thing to plan for, but it's something that we just haven't seen change too much. Another important thing is, as you were discussing earlier, the competition. Even people who came here, almost 30% of them were considering other places. They were considering Sarasota. They were considering the Naples area. They were considering Tampa, St. Pete. So that competition, and it's just something I wanted to stress. Why people are coming, and one of the trends of the visitor profile as we looked around, it was kind of like I'd call it a return to water. More people are coming to relax and unwind. More people are coming from the beach. And then to Tamara's point a little bit ago, as we were talking about the strategic plan, especially during these April, May, June, these slower months for y'all, the visiting friends and relatives are becoming over 1/3 of your visitors came to visit friends and relatives. To be clear, some of those are still staying in paid accommodations because if their family is like my family, who I love, the idea of spending a whole week in the same room with them is a little bit much. So that's why I do want to consider that it's still an important, especially during your slower months. Recall of promotions was still fairly strong with nearly 40%, and it influenced 1 in 5 visitors in April through June who came to the area were influenced by one of your ads. By promotions. And the top sources of recall are internet, social media, travelers, reviews and blogs, and television. So as I saw some of those pie graphs from earlier, there's some correlations there for sure. As we look at transportation, 2/3 of your visitors flew to the area, and more than half of them coming through RSW. I think it is also one of the important factors as we think about your entire tourism economy. As Tamara mentioned earlier, we've seen the budgets around the country tighten a little bit. Really the only segment we've seen growth in 2024 when it comes to travel are the affluent visitor. Everyone else is traveling a little less, or if they are traveling just as much, they might be shortening their trip, or maybe they're spending a little bit less money. So as you start to hear people are taking more road trips, that generally tends to be bad news for you just because you have such a significant percentage who fly. As we look at the profile, where they're coming from, the one thing, Midwest continues to be strong, Southeast, Northeast. There's still significant percentages from a lot of places of the country. The one thing I was a little bit, for April through June, we didn't see as high of international as I might have expected, given that this was kind of we thought more people would come. At the same time, you still have 9% of all your visitors coming from international, but they're not all the way back, and that's a trend that we're starting to see a little bit across the way. Your top origin markets, a lot of familiar faces of New York, Chicago, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Atlanta. Also at the 3% level were Indianapolis, Boston, and Detroit. Not that those other markets under 2% aren't also important, but you have a very diverse set of markets. When I look at your numbers versus other folks, a lot of other folks may have a really, really strong percentage. Yours is a little bit more diverse across a variety of markets. The typical travel party had about 3 people, with 1 in 3 having children. We did see a slight increase in couples travel this time around. In terms of the experience itself, of people we interviewed, we talked to slightly more folks in vacation rentals than hotels and motels. Some of that is sampling, that's how it goes, but it is kind of speaks to the increase and come back to the vacation rentals in this market. The average length of stay was just over 6 nights. Over 1 in 4 were first-time visitors, but 20% are loyal, having visited more than 10 times. And the top visitor activities, still relaxing and winding, the beach. Again, in terms of when you realize over half of your visitors saw friends and relatives while they were here, is an important statistic given to some of the strategic planning stuff. But this is where I kind of said there was a return to water, where we saw the most increases compared to 2023 We saw a 14% increase in those who went to the beach, a 5% increase in those who went fishing, a 6% increase in those who engaged in water sports in April through June when you compare it to April to June 2023. Now, granted, the beaches were in a different place and a lot of different things. I mean, there's a lot of factors for it, but it is something a little bit more of a little bit of a return to normalcy. And as we looked at where communities are staying, it is starting to get a little bit more out into the beaches and the islands as our biggest increase, where folks are staying in Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, things of that nature. Clearly not to pre-Ian levels, but we are starting to see, we are seeing that recovery. And then finally, how did you do? I mean, this has been an important thing that we've been following, especially post-Ian. But overall, likelihood to recommend, likelihood to return, was up a little bit with 93 and 91 respectively. The likelihood to return next year was about the same as last year. And then as we looked at your satisfaction metrics, 96 were satisfied or very satisfied with their overall visit, with 57% very satisfied, and the rest of the figures on this was largely stable year over year. So they're still generally satisfied when they come to the destination. The one thing I'll note, as your recovery continues, that percentage who are very satisfied will continue to uptick as some of that continues. Near the end here, but top concern, as Tamara mentioned, I think traffic's just always going to be number one. It's been since we've been working here. Granted, I think it's number one in almost every place in Florida that we work. But the biggest increase that we did hear, there is still some concerns about the recovery from Ian, seeing damaged buildings and the construction noise, things of that nature. Finally, when we talk to accommodation folks, we asked for July through September, how are things looking? Generally positive. Nearly half thought their numbers were up compared to 2023. Granted, you're comparing that to July through September 2023, which is still kind of, one of the interesting things about now is you compare yourself to a year ago, this is a different destination in a variety of different ways. So that's not too surprising. And then as we look to October through December, up, same, and down are about the same. This is the statistical equivalent of just a shrug. It might be up, might be down. It's kind of all over the place. I mean, as we've seen, if you base on April through June, hoteliers are probably a little bit more likely to say they're down, and vacation rental folks are a little bit more likely to say they were up. So, a whistle-stop tour, and I know some of the things that I've usually covered you've discussed, but I do want to ask if there are any questions about April through June visitation in the area.
Thank you, Jim. Oh.
I got a comment and a question. The comment is it's good to see satisfaction up. In previous, certainly as we were recovering from Ian, satisfaction was down. So good to see satisfaction up. I'm interested in there were a lot of 2 and 5s that were in there. It'd be interesting what the other 3 of 5 thought. And the last is, with the great singers and songwriters video that you displayed, and the thought of, and one thing that crossed my mind was, where do we push that out then? And when do we push it out? And to hear that many of the people that come to our area are thinking 6 months, remembered a promotion 6 months prior, and that 2 and 5 of them were putting their plans together 2 months in advance. When we have those great videos, how do we put them out? Maybe to those key markets where we know that the majority of people come, to inform them about a special event, to attract more people because of the event.
So in terms of Island Hopper, I probably need to let Brian answer this question for me. But what I will say to you is we have a really deep database from past visitors with Island Hopper, and so we are able to track that. Island Hopper has its own social media account, and so that video has been pushed out through its social media account. It is a little bit tricky in terms of the timing of promoting Island Hopper because it does take a while for us to get our headliner name. And so some of those things are a little bit delayed. We can't do it as far out. But in fairness, he was talking about the period April through June. Planning for summer travel is a much shorter window. So, Bill, am I?
No, that's 100% correct. And then also the question is, in the last 6 months, we don't ask, when do you recall seeing the ad? So it's like, have you or have you not in the last 6 months, not necessarily did you see it 6 months ago. So some of the ads that people recalled before they came in the summer, they could have seen it in March. They could have seen it in February. So it's just, we're trying to gauge how many folks not just saw, recalled the advertisements in general.
And this is a little bit tricky, but we are targeting different audiences in different ways. And so I think it's important to understand that, we have a big effort around Island Hopper, but a lot of it is regional. That focus for it is regional, because we know, a lot of Drive Market's going to come in for that event. But you can't, given all the factors that affect travel in September, and we just talked about all the challenges, the rain and the storms and those things, that's why we do that as a regional effort. But, we know we get people that, love music and come from Nashville and Austin and other places. So those are key markets for that effort as well. So it's a robust plan around it. But Brian, do you want to speak to it specifically, or probably?
We have great partnership with iHeart, and so we take advantage of their, of course, broadcast, traditional radio plus streaming. We push the videos out on social media that allows us very efficiently to reach different people in different target markets. Over the years, we've slowly bumped up our investments in Island Hopper because we've seen really good returns. Of course, those 10 days in September are certainly our biggest need period, which is why it was programmed for that time frame. And so, it's really, and then of course, we have the loyal return visitors for Island Hopper, and you saw in our My Fort Myers campaign, one of the gentlemen, Rex comes from Minneapolis. He's been to every Island Hopper, and every time he comes back, he brings more and more people with him. So in the grand scheme of things, the festival is pretty young, being only 10 years, but we've already accomplished and reached numbers of similar festivals that have been around a lot longer. So we're slowly building it, and I think a lot of visitor loyalty will come into play, but we continue to bump up our marketing, and we continue to use all the tools available. And we're complemented by our PR efforts. And we need to say that earned media around Island Hopper is super important to go along with the paid stuff. So.
Great, thanks. I didn't mean to draw just specific attention to Island Hopper.
It's a little bit different.
I use it as a noun. It was just, getting it out, getting the word out early enough based on the data that we have, that people are planning as far ahead as they are, just making sure that when we put those together, that we're getting it out, not just to the people that have come before, but to the new people that we want to bring along with them to, increase occupancy in all of our hotels and whatnot. So.
And I think also, that's where we talk about our always on campaign. It's not the way we used to do it back in the old days. We'd have a big push in spring to get summer people here, and in summer to get fall people here. And, we used to not promote winter at all. The world's changed. Now we've got this always on campaign. And then there are stratifications within that campaign. So we have awareness, right? We want to raise awareness of the destination as a whole. And then we get down to more specific, trying to drive them to actual bookings. So there's like a whole funnel of how that, how we get down to that booking. But a lot of our effort is, brand awareness too. So marketing is so so many layers, right? So many different approaches that end up getting that final booking. So that's why we do have that always on approach.
Thanks.
Bill?
Great report, Joseph. The international, I'm not as concerned because usually it's August, September, October that they're traveling. So, that's, I think, more of a seasonal thing.
Correct.
But I just wanted to highlight, nearly 1 in 4 visitors mentioned damaged buildings. I know there's a lot of municipalities here. This is a hot button. And I'm not saying anybody's doing a bad job. I just only ask that you guys keep pushing it, because that's what we keep hearing from our guests. It's like, why is that building not torn down by now? 2 years, and
Yeah.
that's the first time I've seen it pop up in this report, so.
Something we've been tracking. I mean, I think he called it out, and that's what I was going to also say to your 2 and 5. All the details are in the full report. Joseph's just giving you some of the highlights. So, if you go to the full report, it's about 140 pages. I think it's a lot, but it is in there.
And also, you saw Debbie come through. What were the pictures everybody showed? Ian. I mean, it's just bad PR, or the people want to bring that back up. I mean, anytime we can get rid of that acknowledgement that Ian was through here, the better.
Agreed.
Bill, we
Start talking to the insurance companies.
from the county side, Bill, we've been doing it at the pier, at the beach. That's something we talked about the pier replacement. That eyesore being at the beach every day, you go to the pier, that old pier is still there. And it's just we want to get rid of that Band-Aid, get rid of it. So it's the past, people want to move on. That's one of our frustrations we've been dealing with. It's coming, but based upon the way it's bidded out, replacement with the new pier, they got to tear the old one down first, the same contractor. So very frustrating. Thank you. Any other questions for Joseph?
Okay. Now I'm really done with my report.
Thank you, always.
Sorry about that. I think I was so glad to get that strategic plan done, I skipped over Joseph.
Great.
Jeff,
you got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, council members. Today we're going to go over April, May, June numbers fairly quickly. April, we filled 5,600 hotel room nights, $2.3 million in direct visitor spending. Some highlighted events was a large girls fast pitch softball tournament, a senior softball tournament, both of which were at Lee Health Sports Complex and all the Cape Coral fields, and then a college hockey showcase, which is down at Hertz Arena in Estero. Next slide, you can see our trend is about the same as it has been the last few years, so we're right on track. Going to May, you've filled 12,500 room nights, $4.8 million direct visitor spending. A lot of that comes from baseball. You got Perfect Game, their Memorial Day event. We had a state championship for basketball. FHSAA Baseball State Championships. This was our 11th year hosting that. So we do 3-year contracts with them. Next year will be year 3 but they've already indicated they want to renew with us forever. So they're like, you guys are our permanent home for baseball. Just because our team, especially our parks department, handles it so well and gives such incredible customer service that they would never take it anywhere else. So we're very proud of that. Not on the slide was we also brought back the NAIA Sun Conference Baseball Championships, which was Ave Maria down in Naples was the host institution. So we're bringing some collegiate baseball conference championships activity back. And then next slide, you'll see a good month. And the 2 big bumps are those when we have a big bowling event in May. And so we're in that cycle to get bowling always back here. We used to be one of the only 2 or 3 destinations in Florida that saw the value of bringing bowling in as a sports tourism vehicle. Now there are 9 or 10 Florida destinations who have latched on, and we're now having to do formal presentations at their annual meeting, and it's gotten a little bit more competitive, but we are still in that rotation, and we have a Florida State Bowling Association event every single year. Just again, because of the loyalty we've shown them, and we've got some great facilities in our destination. So going to June, again, heavy baseball, 19,000 room nights filled, $7.8 million in direct visitor spending. 7 of those were Perfect Game events. We worked with Fort Myers American to do a Babe Ruth. That's the city of Fort Myers facility. 1,400 room nights, all Ivy showcases, hockey down at Hertz Arena, as well as the Florida Everblades figure skating event. And you'll see last year was our best June we'd ever had. We dropped down a tiny bit, but not too bad. And then you'll remember last June, I said was going to be a record June because we stole some events from July just because of the way the weekends fell. So all things considered, And considering the competition in our state is just more fierce than ever, the new facilities that are being built up and down I-75 alone are mind-boggling. All the new things that are popping up, and we still are suffering a little bit from, Hurricane Ian. There are still, especially in the state of Florida, the drive market. They're smart enough to know that there are so many other destinations to go to right now that even though Fort Myers puts on and Lee County puts on amazing sports tourism competitions, that there are other ones that are just nearly as high quality that they can go to. And so they all say they're going to come back, but they are waiting another year or two. And so I think our numbers are really good considering all that we've been up against over the last few years. Before I go to questions, I'll mention we are starting to get excited for the Fort Myers tip-off. It's the nationally televised college basketball tournament that's here the entire week of Thanksgiving. The men's side, we have Michigan, Xavier, so there'll be a nice Cincinnati crowd, South Carolina men, and Virginia Tech. And then on the women's side, we have the national championship reigning South Carolina women. They'll be playing on Thanksgiving Day on Fox, Big Fox Television. Again, we turn over our commercial inventory to our tourism office so that we can promote our destination and our placemaking through that. And along with South Carolina, you got Iowa State, Michigan women, Purdue. So we have some really good college basketball coming, men and women. And that is my report. So.
Thank you, Jeff. Questions for Jeff? We'll start with Rob first, then Len, and then Bill. Rob, go ahead.
We talked about this before, and I guess I've been driving around the state watching youth volleyball with my youngest daughter.
Welcome to the world.
That have been constructed that are extremely competitive. They're very nice. The hotels that are nice. And as great as our outdoor facilities are, and as many as we have, I wonder if we have a need in this area for more indoor facilities. I'm assuming that basketball and other indoor sports would be just as, or happening the same way as the volleyball that I'm seeing. Has there been any movement on that? And is there on the idea of constructing a facility that's an indoor youth-oriented facility?
Yeah, so there certainly, for a long time, has been recognition that we have a deficiency in indoor spaces. Our Parks Department does an amazing job maintaining our recreation centers, and those are the bulk of our sports tourism activity, whether it's Waxahachie or Estero Rec Center, North Fort Myers. And so that's where most of our volleyball, basketball, and stuff goes. So I think there is a recognition. I know that there have been preliminary discussions about the Civic Center, what the plans are there, and I think those are ongoing discussions. We've also had discussions with public-private partnerships about others coming in at different pieces of property and they all want to build a big indoor venue that has 6 to 8 basketball courts, which would be double that for volleyball. So we are having those discussions. Certainly, funding always becomes the wall you run into, because every time we think we're making some progress, Hurricane Ian hits or COVID hits or something like that. So I think those are the limiting factors when it comes to building new venues, because of all the priorities that our county has right now. They're just so critical. All the decisions that our county leaders are having to make right now.
And Rob, I'll be honest with you, over the years, we've always been challenged to build more baseball parks, basketball, volleyball, pickleball now. The question, our problem is in the county is space. Find me 20, 50 acres that's compatible for that use, the community around it is going to accept. For example, like Jeff said, we're talking about the Civic Center. We want to rebuild that over the next few years. What's that element going to look like? What elements are going to have 4-H? We're going to have a Civic Center, bigger, nicer. But the reality is, if you build in a huge indoor sports activity facility, where the hotel room's going to be. Those hotel rooms actually are going to be 2 miles up the road on Babcock in Charlotte County. So there's kind of like you give and take, and where else can you put them close by the interstate? So picking an interchange within the interstate within Lake County that's not within a jurisdiction of a city, Benny Springs, Village of Estero, Fort Myers, that has 40 acres to put a facility like that. And that's a challenge. We're trying to find that right location to put it. So all this we're trying to work through all that. We're constantly pushing our staff to find more venues, to build more baseball, football, soccer, volleyball, pickleball. There's all these needs out there. And the question is, which one do you pick? So, Linda, you were next.
Yes,
Going to do some of the stadium downtown here?
Yes, I'm ready, Colin.
That's the good news.
Let me pick up where this left off, then I'll get to my original question. Midtown, we've entertained a number of bids out there already for a large indoor facility, which puts it near and Jeff and I have talked about this, puts it near hotels, restaurants, and everything. So that land is available. And yesterday we had a presentation out of an investor group out of Ohio about bringing a full program in. So we're vetting through it. So we have a definite need for indoor facility, as Jeff pointed out. It's just, where's it going to go? But it's going to happen. But let me move back to my comments, which is going to move from the major to minor, or international to local. Everyone's probably watching the Paris Olympics right now. Do we realize that in closing on Sunday, everything's turning to the United States? The next Olympic Games are going to LA, the Winter Games going to Salt Lake City, FIFA's pumping soccer money into the World Cups. Everything's looking at the United States. With that said, of the 100-plus federations that are incorporated internationally, everyone has a rules committee, a medical committee, an advisory committee, an athletes committee, and these are all driven by volunteers. And what do they get out of it? A free trip every year. And it would behoove us to use our facilities and probably boost your budget over there, Jeff, to look into how do we bid for these. We know the system, but they're looking for places to go because these volunteers want to say, I've been to a really cool place. I went to Santa Barbara, I went to Cape Coral, I went to Fort Myers. It was the best part of my year. They bring their wives with them, and they usually stay a little extra time. It's an untapped market. Now, with that said, Orlando's already jumped on it. I think I sent Tam a note just a minute ago. They're emphasizing that this trend is coming this way. If Orlando's seeing it, there's no reason we can't tag on to that. They can do big events. We can do smaller events. It's a lucrative market. So with that saying, I'll be speaking at the Governor's Conference on tourism, and it's a topic called Sport Tourism Re-envisioned, going from where we started to where we are to what's the next trend moving forward. So I hope to see you all in Tampa. So, thank you.
Lynn, do you guys, I mean, we can talk about it later too, but do you have the city I haven't followed it, do you have a projection how long you might actually have a finalized decision about the City of Palms Park? Because we get asked every day about, what you guys are doing with the park. So do you have an idea, timeline maybe, 3 months, 6 months, or anything?
I wouldn't say it's a timeline. It's got to be the right fit. We have a lot of teams that say they want to put a soccer field in, but we're looking for hotels and restaurants, a whole development program that would support it, as Celebration did up in Gainesville and Wiregrass has done. As you said, the facilities are popping up everywhere, but it's missing Southwest Florida. It's missing Lee County.
So the hotel and commercial element on the outside where the current parking lots are on the east and west side, but for the main hub where the ballpark is, what use you be using it for? Would it be baseball? Would it be tear all that down and start up with a whole new indoor rec center? Or
we've got everything from scrape it off to remodel it, but the real pinnacle, the stumbling block, is that indoor facility. Everyone loves the hockey rink. I mean, the ice is hard to find in Southwest Florida. Everyone's interested in that.
You guys got the jewel there. Those, how many acres? Kind of like we have the Civic Center, 100 acres. What do we do with it? The only bad thing for us is so far north. The location, venues for hotels and everything is going to be probably on that 31 corridor. Also back to Bay Shore on 25. But you guys got that key right there. You got that hub right there where you can build whatever you want. So I wish you guys the best.
With that said, you've got 3 airports nearby, the national airport, international airport, and a private airport. We've got I-75. Everyone's looking at us as, why aren't we investing in sport tourism in our community? Because it's shifting away from the big cities. We're looking for secondary markets where it's more friendly and not as industrial. So, but maybe Jeff and I can get together, Mr. Commissioner, if you have time, we'll talk about this further and not eat up the rest of the day here.
Wait for you guys to make a decision what you want to do with this. So once you get there, we'll be.
Something's going to be done
support.
with it. It's about, you're having a suit made, and you want it tailored to fit you. You just don't want to buy it off the rack. So we don't have to take the first deal coming down the line. Everyone wants to be here. Everyone wants to move here. So it's taken a little longer to vet through these. We had a lot of offers, but most of them aren't our suit.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bill?
So we've got 1,200 more rooms coming inland in the next 25 and 26. Is that about right?
Sounds right.
And pardon the pun, but I'm teeing you up. What do you need? Because you got a lot more rooms that are going to need to be filled, and sports, is going to be the key for them. So, is the solution more indoor that Rob suggested, or is it something else?
It's anything. Cape Coral pickleball facility is opening up. That's gonna inject more tourism into our destination. Every time that a new park opens, we're able to utilize it in some way. If the stadium converts from 1 sheet of ice to 2 sheets of ice, that gives us more opportunity to go after ice hockey tournaments. So anything and everything, if it's even 1 court or 1 field opens up, we're able to find ways to program it. The big multi-complexes are great for heads and beds and tournaments and things like that. The single facilities are great for training. And, we've already, you all know, we've worked with Australia on their baseball and softball team. We've worked with, Ireland has a commitment to come here with their girls fast pitch team for between now and the LA games. We have a very strong relationship with all the European baseball and softball federations. So those smaller facilities are great for, and then when we get them here, then we introduce them to, not only the excellent training opportunity they have, but the culture of our community. Getting them out and making sure they see some water and beaches, and getting them to a Dave & Buster's and things like that, so that they have some entertainment. But every single facility that opens up, whether it's 1 court or 1 field, is important for us, and incrementally allows us to build on what we're doing.
One question. With the April business, and you go to 25, how much does the fluctuation of Easter come into play with that? Does it, for people who repeat every time, do they just change their dates, or how does that work?
It matters a lot. For instance, in 2025, we have a collegiate roller hockey event that's scheduled to be at the downtown Fort Myers Stadium. And their board wants to be in early April, which is before Easter, and our hotel rates are naturally higher before Easter. So we're wrestling with that right now on, is it better to stay on the weekend they're traditionally there, or how many teams would they lose if they dropped back to later? We're going to probably lose teams either way. You're either going to lose teams because you dropped the date back, or you're going to lose teams because they just can't afford to come here pre-Easter. And so we wrestle with those decisions all the time. Easter movement is very important for our sports tourism client.
Great. Anything else for Jeff?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the information. Next, we have some business to take care of. So we have old business. We need approval of the May 9th, 2024 TDC meeting minutes. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
We have a motion for that by Jay. We have a second by Frank. Any discussion on the minutes? Any public comment on the motion to approve the minutes? No public comment. Come to the council. Any objection? No objection. Approval of the third quarter fiscal year 24 budget, 24, 25 proposed budget report. April?
In deference to time, you received this report back on June 7th. Of course, we didn't have quorum last time. If you have questions, we're happy to answer them, but if you want to make a motion to accept the proposed budget, we would appreciate that.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Fran, second by Bill. Any public comment on that? Okay, any discussion, any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. New business will be formalized at fiscal year 25 events attraction funding. Nancy?
Don't you have actually before that? We do have the third quarter budget report too.
Oh.
But we could do Nancy first.
Understood that.
Let's just do Nancy first. We'll let Nancy go first.
Okay, good morning, Council. Thank you for your continued support of our funding programs. I wanted to just first, we're going to ask for your formalization of funding allocations for the events and attractions marketing programs for next fiscal year. I did just want to recognize the TDC's marketing subcommittee, who poured a lot of work into reviewing over 45 applications and conducting 2 public workshops to review the requests. And they were TDC member Cronin, Smith, Johnson, Wachulis, and Stinky. So we really do appreciate your work, your time on these programs. The first request, it's in your packet, is for the events marketing program. We have 12 requests for funding, and the TDC subcommittee recommends funding all of them at a total of $192,500. So unless there's questions? Yes.
We have a motion by Tony, we have a second by Jay. Public comment on that? Back to council, any objections? No objection, motion carries.
Thank you. So the Attractions Marketing Program hosted their review workshop on July 26th. There is a budget for $600,000 for this program. The TDC subcommittee is recommending funding the full $600,000 to 35 requests on this high-tech spreadsheet that I'm sharing with you here. Both of your recommendations will be published to Lee VCB once you approve.
We just did events first, and now we're doing.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Bill by approval. Second by Rob. Any public comment?
How about some member comment real quick?
Yeah, we're going to come back for discussion for the council. Holly?
Thank you. When I'm looking at this funding, I would request that, we had the $600,000. We were very conscientious of knowing that we had over 800 in requests as well. I would like to see where the funding has been over past years, when we've increased it, and maybe there is an opportunity based on the reserves that we have to look at some sort of an increase through the TDC and the BOCC. I'll have some other comments. I'm going to put those in writing to the commissioner, just to make sure there is a fairness on how this money is distributed. And I think we really worked hard to make sure that that was accomplished.
Great, thank you. Okay.
Two comments, one for Brian. One of the things that came up constantly throughout our meeting that we saw is a lot of these attractions are going to the same marketing sources for their advertising, specifically in print. And I was wondering if there's any way that as a BCB we can buy in bulk and bring that price down and then sell it to them or allow them to use it. For example, almost, let's say 30 out of 35 are going to talk about buying print ads from Florida Weekly. And it just seems that there's a discount if you're buying that in bulk as opposed to individually, and if there's a way to do it.
Yeah, the right way to think about that, I mean, basically it would be a local co-op.
Right. Because, what we saw is the Florida Weekly and the Happening seem to be the two publications that were constantly mentioned throughout. It was the one constant in most of these applications. And it just seems that there would be some savings to the county, and we'd have more funds to give out to these organizations if we're getting them cheaper advertising.
Let me talk to Tam and Nancy about that. Historically, we've not, funding recipients have not been permitted to use their
just looking at ways to save all of us money.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I think what you're saying is there a way to work with those two providers to develop a program that would be
And even if they
perhaps
have to
more
buy
cost effective?
directly from them, but out of the ad space that you've contracted, so that way it's not a co-op, but they just buy direct out of that that segment. But it just seems that there's money to be saved, and that we can be better stewards of the tax dollars if we're buying in bulk when all of 35 or even all 35 are going to the same source for marketing.
Right.
So if it's not a structured co-op program, maybe we can negotiate a better rate on behalf of the fundraiser.
I think that's what he's saying.
I think that would probably be the way to go. And, in the end, we're talking 600,000, but that is a way to spread that money and get a better bang for our buck. And it just seemed to be very consistent throughout as you start reading these and you're looking at their marketing plans, that Florida Weekly and the Happenings just pop up a lot.
Both have been great partners for the VCB, so
Absolutely.
I'm glad to have those conversations.
I just think it's a way we can save some money on it. And then the other thing I'm going to say, and I know there's no one in this room that's going to hear it, hopefully they're online. I said it at the subcommittee meeting. I think it was great to see all these attractions and so happy that we're throughout the county, but somehow I'd love to see something in Pine Island and Matt Shea. And if I don't say that, I feel like I'm a little remiss. There's nothing out of these 35 in that area.
Great, thank you. Holly?
And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that they also got some marketing money when Commissioner Pendergrass worked hard for Fort Myers Beach, City of Sanibel and Captiva through their marketing. And if I'm not mistaken, there was marketing money given to them as well.
There was 50,000 that was given to the Greater Pine Island Chamber.
So hopefully that can be used.
Yeah, we can't always take that into account. So there's over 100,000 went to the Sanibel, Captiva Chamber, and Fort Myers Beach.
Yep.
So we didn't take that into account when we were funding these. And I don't think we take that 15.
Just to clarify, that wasn't what I was saying, is maybe that whoever those individuals are, maybe it's an opportunity for them to use those marketing to get that word out a little bit stronger, so you do have people that see what they can come to us for. So I think that's incumbent on them as well. But I think your voice is very strong, and I think that's fantastic. You're a champion, and we just need to make sure they know what's available so we can help them with their marketing as well.
No questions, it's on them, and that's why I like to bring it up as much as I can to get people to start thinking about it.
I say ask for everything and see what you get. That's what we do. That's how you have to kind of live. Anything else? Discussion, we have a motion, we have a second. Any objections on that? Objection, motion carries. Great, thank you. Sorry for the misstep a minute ago. I had the old agenda. I didn't have the revised one, but I have the revised one now, so sorry about that. So now we'll do the new business approval of the third quarter fiscal year 24 budget reports.
I'm happy to bring April up, but these budgets are pretty much on track. You'll see we're not overspent. Maybe in a few categories where some expenses come in all at one time, but we're really on track for this point in the year.
Rob?
Make a motion to approve the.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Second. We have a second, Councilman. Any public comment on this item? And back to council, any discussion on the budget? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. I've caught up now on the new revised agendas. I think we're good there, right? So,
We're good.
Okay, good.
We got it all.
Okay, good. Next, for council information, do you have any council information?
There's some items in your packet. I got you some good reading. Hopefully you enjoy those articles.
Any other air service updates? I'm sorry. Okay, any TDC member items? Tony, do you have anything for us?
Not at all.
Rob? Lynn? Councilman? Anything from Estero? Bill, do you have anything?
I do, a few. Thanks. Didn't make the cut on our PowerPoint, but in addition to the Bimini East properties that we acquired through CRA and our efforts to remove slum and blight there, we also, after a long period of attempts, previously failed, successfully acquired the golf course back. And so the intent there is to make that a botanical garden, make it, if you will, the Central Park of Cape Coral that we will hope will continue to attract people coming to our area for that new beauty. It was earlier mentioned the tennis and pickleball complex. That we are that close to opening. We need a final decision on branding and the official name, and that will begin operation. We're all looking forward to that. And driving tourism here, we actually have our first tournament that is scheduled and already taking applications for the tournament to be held there. We do expect that to attract not only statewide traffic, but also national traffic as well. And I did it from the dais, but I have to do it here today, if you'll indulge me. Everything became official last evening at our city council meeting of the acceptance of the funding for Yellow Fever Creek, our newest park there, and that wouldn't have happened being a non-voting member here if it had not been for the support of the voting members of this council to then also make recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to use money from the reserves to make that happen. It's going to be a brand new park to an area that will bring camping and outdoor activities and wildlife exploration that this area has not had for a long time, and it wouldn't have happened without the work of this body as well as the support of the Board of County Commissioners. And I just publicly want to thank you for the support that you gave us for that effort that I believe will come back in spades to not only the VCB and the TDC, but also to our county as well.
Great, thank
so
you.
Thank you.
Good news. Thank you. Still my mayor of Snowball. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just as you all know, Tropical Storm Debbie kind of, we all have to remember tropical storms can be extremely impactful, and they were for us. The water worked against us again, but we are in recovery mode on that. Our beaches are starting to open. We have Bowman's Beach and Blind Pass that are currently open. We are hoping for Gulfside, that's at Algiers, to be open possibly tomorrow. So that's really important. Lighthouse Beach and Turner took quite a bit of sand, so we are scraping and reusing that as well. We are assessing the renourishment sand that's been displaced, and we'll have more on that. I did want to let everybody know that the council approved a temporary allowance for daycations at the properties that do fall under the resolution stipulations to open. So Sundial was the first to open and opened right before the storm came. But they're having daycations, so please come and enjoy. You can get those, you can get tickets online for that. There's only a limited amount that are being able to be used, but we're really excited to have them be able to have this as people are waiting for their accommodations, and it gives people a chance to get to the beach and enjoy the facilities that are open. Looking forward to the Governor's Conference on Tourism coming up shortly, so I know many of you here will be attending. And a big shout out to John Lai, who I think is still here, who will be stepping up as the Visit Florida Chair. So this is a huge accomplishment for both John and it's wonderful for Southwest Florida as we continue in our recovery. I know a lot of you are saying, hey, I wish Ian was in the rearview mirror. But Bill, something that you said really struck and will for a while. Our condominiums on our Gulf, they look bad, and we understand that's a visitor impact, and it will be for quite some time. So for those of you that have it in your rearview mirror, it is right out our windshield, and it will be for quite some time, and that's going to affect not only for us in Fort Myers Beach, that affects what we're talking about all over, and we're all working diligently, as are the condominium and accommodations, to get through this. But many are still stuck in the insurance, litigation, homeowners association debacle that is really kind of stalling. We're doing what we can, but however, there's only so much the municipalities can do before the other accommodations are able to get done what they have done. We are getting our permits out very quickly, typically within 4 to 7 days. And we've had over 10,000 permits. We're typically, we have about 2,000 per year. So we're trying to work as hard as we can on that. Just wanted to also thank, Commissioner Pendergrass, when we talk about this marketing money that you work so hard to get forward, it is having a huge impact, and we are very grateful in all of the locations because it really is, it's been our lifeline and it will continue to be. I'm extremely optimistic for season, I'm always optimistic, but I'm realistic as well. So we just keep taking those steps forward, and had I thought a year ago that we would be looking another 2 years, I would have been surprised. But now I know the reality is what it is. But we are absolutely going to get there. I would not be surprised if the city of Sanibel does come forward for some emergency requests in the upcoming this year, possibly into next. So I'm just letting everybody know beforehand, and these will be items that will absolutely impact tourism for the better if they're required. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for the comments. I think we all know, sitting in an elected position or business owner, you see an elected have a return. When I saw the numbers for the chambers, what they do throughout the county, in the context they have of our visitors, is overwhelming. It's like, how can we not do that? I mean, I can tell anybody here as an elected official, when you spend money in your city or your county, you want to see a return, and to see that return back in investment is definitely good. So thank you to all the chambers. We'll see them do what they do every day. So thank you. I do want to recognize Carol and Steve's here from the airport. So thank you guys for being here. Do you have anything? You have anything, Steve? You all good? Okay, good. Thank you. Fran, do you have anything?
Just make sure you look at your updates, the good stuff
Right.
from the airport. And thank you, Carol, for bringing that down to us. I'd just like to say hats off to Tamara and her staff, because what they've had to deal with this last 2 years, I can't even imagine. So hats off to you guys for the small group that you have, compared to the other TDC meetings. You do an amazing job.
Councilman?
Just three things. First of all, our July 4th experiment, I think other cities did it too, but using drones and fireworks, and we added laser into the public loved it. Phenomenal event. Lee County Sheriff's Office did a great job. One arrest with probably 8,000 to 10,000 people there, and that was just for somebody who was a little inebriated. I'm excited about the fact that after several years of discussions, there's a new leadership team at the Wonder Gardens and a new executive director. So we've entered into a 10-year agreement, and the Wonder Gardens has just, they're ramped up. That is going to be something that will be a source of pride for all of Southwest Florida. So very excited about their plans, their master plans in process, and what you're going to see over the next year should be exciting. And then we put out an RFP for our mural program, and we're expanding outside of downtown Bonita. And I say that publicly because we're looking for mural artists, and we're also looking for locations in Bonita Springs. I mean, the Hyatt, I think, would just be a beautiful location for a giant mural, don't you? That was just a suggestion, Bob. But that is something that obviously other communities have used it, and it adds to the viability of our city being a destination. That's all I have.
Thank you. Bill, do you have anything?
I'll just echo Fran's comment. Great job, Pam and Jeff, Brian, just and the team. Just great job.
Thank you.
Jay, you good? I want to ask, maybe you guys talk about the past. I'm not here every year, but recently we've had a lot of drownings on the coastline because of currents and everything. And I don't know individually if the hotels, or I assume you have signs up, you're warning your guests, but I don't know if there's ever been talk on the past where if there's like any type of either the hotel, anybody providing life vests for people, flotation devices. We had another drowning this week in Captiva. I don't know if you guys ever talked about that in the past. You're in the business. So I don't know if that's been, there's other things that I've been looking to see what we can do, protect our guests as they come here about, you can put signs up all you want. I saw people out doing the day of the storm in the Gulf. I mean, what are they thinking? They're out there, but you can only do so much, but is there anything else you could do? Just think about it. You don't have to respond or anything. I'm sure you're doing something, but I'll be talking to our staff about what we can do throughout the county to make sure that improve everybody's safety, because we don't become the drowning capital of the world. I mean, every year there's something new, either a storm or bad water or something, but it's just unfortunate. People come here on vacation, they go in the currents, they think they're in physical shape, the ocean's too strong, they can't do that, they can't swim outside that current. So again, if you've ever had that issue before at your hotels, and just warn your guests to stay shallow water unless they're really, even expert swimmers can drown. So it happens throughout the state, so, yeah, Brett.
Does our staff still reach out to the folks the way we used to do, or?
You know, we have a lot of signage, you know, educational signage at the beach park accesses and such. You know, I think we try to make that information available, but, you know, again, it's constant. You can't over-communicate, right? I think that's the challenge with that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else, so I guess we'll be adjourned then. Great, thank you.
And